Hey guys, it's Appleminte. Welcome back again to my channel. And in today's video, I'm doing another tutorial. I do these every now and then, and I've done eye tutorials. I think a few years ago was the last time that I did one, but I always like to do an updated version of my tutorials as time goes on, since my style changes, my techniques change a little bit. So that is what I'm going to be doing today. Before I get into that though, I just want to show you guys some of my new keychains that actually just came in a few days ago. I'm really excited about them. They range over some original stuff and some artwork that is fan art. So they will be up in my store tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you're interested in getting any of these, I have a limited supply, but the link is in my description below. So check that out if you're interested. I'd really appreciate it. And now on to some supplies. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be filming it using my iPad and drawing it in Procreate. But for you guys who are following along at home using traditional materials and you don't have an iPad or any kind of drawing software, that's completely fine. Everything that I'm going to do and explain is completely can be replicated with any kind of art supplies. So when I'm doing the sketching phase, you'll just want some kind of pencil to follow along and sketch lightly with. And then once you want to ink it and you're ready to do that, then you can pull out any kind of lining pen. I like to use the thicker ones for eyes just because I can get a thicker line off the get-go. Then you just want to pick some colors, and of course something that always helps and is great for eyes is a white gel pen of any kind of sort. I use the Jelly Roll brand. I've used other ones, but this one I really like just because it's really opaque. But yes, Jelly Roll is great because when you're going on and you're coloring your eyes, just color them in fully. Don't worry about leaving a space for the white highlight. You can go in after everything's dry and then highlight it manually with this. So that is what the gel pen is good for. Anyway, let's get straight into the tutorial. So for my digital version of this, I have a sketching brush that I love to use. It is from Jing Sketch, and I will have the link in the description below if you'd like to check it out. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is sketching very lightly with this brush, just the general shape of the eye. And after that, I'm going to go in and do the, I guess, inking process or the lining process, whatever you want to call it. But for this eye, I'm doing a more serious, just kind of like regular eye with a slight slant or tilt upward in the corner. This is just kind of like a default that I like to do. So I guess you could call this a very basic one. But as you see, I've slowed down my footage a lot so you can see all of my brush strokes and steps. But basically you just draw the top and the bottom. I keep them separated. I don't like to connect them just because that's not really what I go for with my style. And then you draw the eye in the center, but you can make the eyeball itself as big, or I guess the iris as big or small as you want. That's really a preference kind of thing. For me, I don't like to make them, you know, take up too much of the eye, but it really depends if I'm drawing a more cutesy character or I guess less so. But real quick, I'm just going to sketch in the eyelid and an eyebrow for this person because I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of coloring here. So that's the eye just inked the way it is. And now I'm going to go in and add some color. I'm going to make this one brown, but for coloring in the whites of the eye, I don't like to use full-on white most of the time because I think it's just too jarring of a color. So I use a little bit of a grayish purple or a grayish blue, and I shade it accordingly. And then the inside coloring of my eyes are usually pretty basic, I guess you could say. So I go ahead and fill it in with a color, kind of cut it in half with a dark color on top and a lighter version on the bottom, and then add a pupil. And that is eye number 1. So now onto the next one. So the next eye that I'm going to do is more of a male kind of eye. And it's going to be a little bit more somber, I guess, a little more stoic. So for this one, I make the top part of the eyelid and the bottom part a lot closer together, and a lot straighter to make it more serious looking. And I also make the iris much smaller on this one too, because bigger eyes, bigger irises in the middle of the eye make the character look a bit younger. So if you're going for a younger character, you can do that. But if you're not, then making it a little bit smaller can make the character look a little older or more serious, if that makes sense. So here is what it looks like lined and inked before I go in and do anything. And I'm also just going to add a little bit of a line there to show where the pupil's going to be, as well as the eyebrow and the eyelid before I start to color it. So this is pretty simple. I'm not giving it any eyelashes because I said it's a male eye, so I wanted to have a little bit more of a masculine look. But it's a really, really simple thing to sketch out. There's not too much to say about it. But anyway, onto the coloring portion of this. I am going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to make the lighter color on the bottom portion a little bit more rounded, and also add in a little extra dark color on the sides there of the light yellow, if you can see that. And then just going in and adding a bit smaller highlights over the eye there, not too big. Because again, when you draw really big highlights on the eye, it can make the eye look very shiny and innocent. And you know, if you're not going for that look, you don't want to do that. So just tweaking little details can change a lot. But now on to the third eye. So this third eye is going to be also pretty similar to one of my defaults that I tend to go for. Unlike the first one that was a little bit more of a serious eye, this one's a lot more, a lot larger, I guess, and a little bit more childlike / younger looking, since, like I said, making the iris of the eye really big does contribute to making it look a little younger. So I leave a little bit more space here between the two eyelids, and I make the inside of the eye pretty big. And that just also leaves a little bit more room for coloring. The bigger you have the eyes, maybe you can add a little bit more detail. Of course, you don't have to color in the ways that I'm coloring my eyes in. That can be done a million different ways, but I'm just showing you one way of doing it so that you can use that if you want to. I'm also adding on some eyelashes to give it a little bit of a girly look. I like to do that in my drawings. I usually add 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom and make them kind of flare out in the direction that the eye is, I guess, facing on the head. But anyway, now on to the coloring of the eye. So again, I'm not using a straight up white for the whites of the eye. I'm going ahead and I'm using a grayish blue color. And I like to add a little bit of a gradient on top when it comes to shading the top part of the eye color there. And for this one, I'm adding extra lines in the eye as well, making it a little bit different and adding a little bit extra shininess highlights on the eye itself, just to make it look a little more innocent, as if she's like a little upset about something. So that's what I'm going for there. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. I always like to add a little bit of blush under my eyes as well, which is why I'm showing you here. Really simple. And there is the third eye, and now on to the last one. So for this last one, I had a bit of fun with it. I wanted to make it almost like magical and very, very cutesy, over the top kind of eye. So for this one, I leave a lot of space again between the top and bottom eyelid, but I'm making the bottom eyelid very straight across, and doing that kind of look gives the character's eye more of a sweet kind of look to it, if that makes sense, like very sweet, happy, innocent kind of look. So, because also if you think about it, when you smile, your bottom eyelid kind of goes upward a bit. So it looks like this would be a character that would be smiling. I'm also making the eyelashes a little bit more exaggerated, a little bit more rounded and pronounced. And of course, I'm giving this character a really big eye in the center, because I plan on adding a really fun kind of aspect to it in the coloring, which you'll see in a moment. But these eyes would be great for a character that's very cutesy or very happy, or if you just want to experiment with tweaking things in different ways. This is just kind of to show you that you can do that, and just changing certain details can really change the eye a lot. And I'm going ahead here and I'm turning the line art to brown. It's a little hard to see, but I turned it to brown just so it would be a little less harsh, since I plan on using bright, colorful colors. But that is what the eye looks like before it's colored, and now onto the coloring. And for this one, I wanted it to be very bright and exaggerated, so I'm making it a very bright pink. And for the center of the eye, instead of a normal pupil, I am adding a bright white heart. So it just gives a little bit of extra cutesiness and a different feel to the character versus the other eyes that I drew. So The rest of this coloring is going to be straightforward, so I'll just round off the video by saying thank you guys for watching, and I hope that these eyes, I guess, tutorial explanations helped you a little bit, showing my process of how I would draw different shapes and how I sketch them. So if this helped, let me know in the comments below, and which one was your favorite, please tell me. And also, of course, like I said before, I have the link to my online store in the link description box below, so check that out along with all my other things. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time as always. Bye bye.